Okay, we got a different kind of job here. This came in yesterday. It's a steering part for one of those carts. It's not a, I don't know exactly what you call it. It's not a golf cart. It's one of those ones they use like in the woods and big farms or medium-sized farms. And this is the steering mechanism. The steering wheel gets attached to here. Well, the shaft goes to the steering wheel, and this gets bolted underneath the carriage somewhere, and this goes to one wheel, this Jaime joint, and then this one goes to the other wheel. Now the thing is that this is supposed to be straight like this one. So the story is that they hit a rock and it messed up the spindle and this part. Now this part, it was like $250. So we're going to see if we can fix it. Now, all we have to do is bend this back. It's hollow till about here. So my first thought was to try to bend it, but the thing is that, you know, if you bend it, you're going to crush it because it's just a hollow tube. That's probably why they do that. So if something happens to it, it'll bend. It'll sacrifice its life to save this piece here. Now this is some kind of ball joint thing here. I don't know what that is. I really don't want to take it apart. Unless I have to, but so anyway, yeah, my first thought was try to put this in the press somehow and bend it back, or in the vise, and then you're going to end up crushing this and crushing that, so that won't work. And then I thought, well, maybe we can cut it here and just put another piece on the end and weld it. Of course, you'd have to isolate it from this part with a ice pack or water pack of some sort. But of course, we want to try the simplest thing first. So I thought about it for a while, and I thought, well, maybe we can take, there's a Jaime joint in this side too, just like this one, but if I can thread something into there and then use that as a big pry bar, get a shaft and then stick it in there, and then heat this up and isolate this area here, but heat this up, and then I could use the length of this bar to press it back down or pull it back down. Now I could just stick a rod in there, but then you're going to mess up those threads. I'd rather thread a piece in there so that the threads are less likely to get messed up. So I measured that, and it's what was it, 12 millimeters, something, 12 by 1.25 or something like that. And I don't think I could get a bolt that long. So I checked it on the thread pitch gauge, and it's like a 20 thread per inch. So if I take a rod and I thread it 20 threads per inch, it should slip in there. Of course, there's going to be a mismatch in the threads, but I don't really care because all I want to do is thread it in there as far as possible and use it as a pry bar. So I think that's what we're going to try. That seems like the easiest solution. And if I heat this up, hopefully we can get it to bend a little bit. So I'm going to find a piece of rod and thread it, and we'll get going on this thing. Yeah, I think there was like some loud music, maybe a little alcoholic beverage, and maybe a dog and a shotgun involved in this thing, but I don't know. Can't say I wasn't there, but yeah, that's nowhere near straight. All right. Bye for now. Yeah, so I grabbed this piece of 1/2-inch steel of some sort. I don't know what kind of steel it is. It's rusty. And put a thread on there. Just a 20 thread. I turn that down to the diameter of the Jaime joint. The same diameter, because that threads into the pipe. Then this nut from the Jaime joint, got it going on that thread. It's a little loose. I want it loose because as I thread it on there, it's probably going to tighten up. And I want to try to get that in there as far as I can. That's a little loose, but that's okay. I put that in there, and I just basically eyeballed it. I mean, it didn't matter if it was concentric, and then when it was threading, you know, it was running out a little bit, and that's going to help it fit better. The looser, the better. That way I can thread it in there. So I got to take this out and thread it into the rod. See how far it goes. Hopefully it goes pretty far. Then probably put it on the press and get the... I don't have an oxygen settling thing. I got a propane torch, so I'll probably use that. And being thin wall or not solid, it might bend a little easier. All right. See what happens. I put wet paper towels over here on both sides so that the heat doesn't go back into this area. This piece didn't thread in as far as I would like. It only went in maybe 3/8 of an inch. Well, we'll give it a shot, see what happens. Yeah, that's not the part getting hot. That's the paint is peeling off. started going good, and then I had to stop. It's a little tougher than I thought. think that's about it. I got a bend in there I really didn't want, but I'm trying not to stretch these threads out too much. Yeah, thread's in there now. I gotta make sure I don't keep it in there, because when that thing cools off, it's gonna collapse right on those threads. So I better take it out now. Well, just a little bit. I gotta go wash, put some water on this thing, cool it off a little bit. Well, I think we got it. I hit it with a wire brush. I mean, yeah, it's got a couple of little dents in it, but you're not going to get all that out. And I think we can do this without doing major rework. So the idea is to have it straight. That looks pretty good. Yeah, a little bend on the end, but I mean, it's got a Jaime joint on it, so and I had a tap, so I had to go in there and clean that out. Of course, I could only get in so far. I hit that little bump right there, and I couldn't get it any further, so this thing goes about 3/4 of the way in there. Then it stops, and if he has to go in there more, it's just going to have to cut a little piece off the end. But I think it'll be all right. I mean, it was quick and dirty and didn't involve a lot of work. I mean, it took a little time, but it was really no expense. But I think overall, a little black paint, call that a done deal. Oh, yeah, the Jaime joint. The thing was bent. The rod was bent. So what I did was I put it on the press, and then I got it as straight as I could. And of course, what happens is that the piece down here gets bent. They make a cylinder, and then these pieces on the end get folded over, and that's what captures that joint. So what I did was I took this socket and I put it on top of this joint. Then I put it on that piece of aluminum, and I just gave it a little whack on top of the socket. And what that does is that spreads this lip a little bit higher. It's like forming it in reverse. So by pushing this piece down on that, you're raising this lip, which gives you a little more clearance. Because before, when I straightened this out, it dented it. Well, there's nothing to hang on to. I mean, you know. So I had to put this piece on the bottom. Then when I straightened that out, it dented it. So to get it back, like I said, I put that socket on there, and that fits over here. And I just gave it a little whack, and that pushed that lip up a little bit, which gave it a little more freedom, a little more room to move around. Of course, you could always do it on this side too, but I only did it on the one side and it worked. So this thing's ready to go. A little black paint and ready to go. All right. Talk to you later.